it's raining card games, and welcome to the June Q&A. Yes, it's the June Q&A. I'm still able to keep track of months despite quarantine kind of screwing up the calendar and figuring out what day is which, what is Tuesday, what is Monday, what is Wednesday. Anyway, so before we go ahead and we jump into patron questions, as always, if you would like, comment and subscribe. And remember, if you want a chance for your question to be featured in a monthly Q&A, be sure to either comment down below or comment on the community tab when I put the post out. Because we got a lot of stuff coming out in the upcoming weeks. Specifically, you all know what's coming on the horizon. The new Sealed Only series will debut on July 15th. Now, if you're a patron, you've already seen the first segment of the new Sealed Only. So if you guys are interested in that, links down below in the description. But let's go ahead and jump on into the patron questions. I feel like Dual Devastator is actually, in terms of product, I think Konami did a good job with the product. It was well rounded. Some of the stuff in there was questionable, to say the least. But in terms of reprints for some cards, like the Ghost Sisters, having access to all the Ghost Sister hand traps, minus the newest one in Etco. But I think that was really nice, and collector-wise, it gives everybody alternate art forms, which people like. Some people like feet. I think overall it was a good product. Moving further down the line, I think yes, if someone is going into the game and they need to get some competitive staples, Kaiju, hand traps, back row removal like Cosmic and Heavy Storm Duster, and then also Super Poly, like there's a lot of good cards in that set. So someone who's just starting out in the game, I would say yes, you would want to pick up some Dual Devastators. And if you're doing a Sealed Only series, yeah, that also, having the guaranteed, you're basically guaranteed to get what's in this box, what's listed, that's a reassuring thing, considering that most product is luck of the draw. So overall, I think it's aged well, and it will continue to remain a staple for people who are trying to get into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! So this next question does come from actually our newest channel member. You guys have seen him on the channel before. It's Mr. Q's Mod Shop. He joined recently at the Weather Painter level. So, my most memorable experience. I can't really say like a dueling experience. I think heading to the Lockhaven Regional back in Sealed Only Samurai, that has to be one of the, not so much just the, the competition, because I was in top that regional. But I think just the fact that I went all the way out there, like I drove there myself. It's not like this whole was a part of this. It was just one piece of a journey. So I went to that regional with something that I built from scratch and performed. I performed to the best of my capabilities, and I was happy with it. It's actually my first regional? Yeah. So having that experience to go out there in the winter, in the snow, having that journey alone, that road trip, and then to go there, document the whole thing, and just have that fun atmosphere, and just have some fun back and forth matches. I don't know, the whole Lockhaven regional experience was really fun for me. So I think that's one of my more memorable Yu-Gi moments, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be many more to come. Bad experiences. Anything to do... I think... So actually, here we go. The first Tier 0 Spiral format. That was... yeah, that wasn't fun. I remember... I was kind of getting into I was into Yu-Gi-Oh! At that point when it started out, but it was like very, very casual. And then at that point, I was starting to get, okay, let's try to get a little better. I was trying to say, like, I want to actually try more, competitive. Like, so I was just like, I'll start going to locals and, like, try it out. I picked a bad time to go to locals. Because literally sitting there with, I think I combined the Felgren structure deck with Light Sworns. And I had like a Dragon Chaos Light Sworn deck going on, kind of thing. And you go into locals, and around 1, you're just sitting there, and the player you're going up against is won the die roll, he's playing Spiral, and yeah. Sitting there for 20 minutes just watching him build this board with no responses from me, then he says, okay, play. Normal summon, pass. It was not a memorable time. I mean, granted, I was just kind of getting more into the competitive aspect of things, so it was kind of like it was rough, and it did set me back from Yu-Gi-Oh! For a bit. I didn't quit the game, per se, but that definitely put a very sour taste in my mouth for actually going to locals. After a certain point, I remember I didn't go for a while. I took kind of a hiatus of going to locals. But then I slowly got back into it gradually. And then also, I mean, once the channel started up, I really then started to go back to locals as a regular. So it took me some time to recover into actually being comfortable with going to a tournament event style thing, even if it was just a local tournament, just because of what that first tier Spiral format did to me, like psychologically. It just said, if this is what competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like, I don't really want to be a part of this. So it took me some time to get past that, and then once I did, like, I love the game. I love my locals. So yeah, can't wait to go back in real life. Cannot wait at all. And that is going to do it for patron questions. Thank you guys so much for your support, and also thank you, Quentin, for joining in at the tier 1 level. Your support really does mean a lot to me, and all of my patrons on both YouTube and on Patreon. Your guys' support really does help me a lot, especially with the undertaking of this new sealed only series. I am putting a lot of time and effort and finances into this new series, because besides just making a sealed only series, it's not just buying the product with your allotted funds for that week. There's so much more. The gas money to go to places, the camera equipment, the editing equipment, and all this extra things, just because I've set a bar for myself, and I don't want to go below that bar for the sake of saving a couple bucks. I want to keep it that level of quality and improve upon that. So thank you so much to all of the patrons that I have. Like, really, your guys' support means so much to me. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to YouTube questions. So, quarantine blues can be a thing, and it's completely understandable. It's kind of difficult to play a physical card game that involves 2 people at least to lose interest. There are other ways to kind of satisfy your hunger. Obviously, there's the online alternatives like EDO Pro, Dueling Nexus, Dueling Book, Legacy of the Duelist if you actually want to pay for online Yu-Gi-Oh! But it's not the same. I definitely can agree. It is not the same thing as the physical card game, and I cannot wait to get back to the physical card game. But that being said, in terms of encouragement, I would just say this. Sometimes separation from something you love increases your love for that thing. So you'll find that even if you do take a break, you'll notice that you'll want to come back to it. And the separation, once you finally reunite with being able to play the physical Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, you will have the time of your life, even if you lose both games in that match. And it's not to say that you need to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Every single day to love the game. No, of course not. There are plenty of other ways to enjoy your time in quarantine. Find other hobbies. Keep yourself occupied. Don't absorb yourself so much in one thing. And yeah, I think the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Is right now, obviously not everybody can afford to remote duel and actually play with their physical cards, but you know, taking a break isn't the worst thing in the world. For example, you look at sports teams. They're not, obviously you have your season for, let's say, half the year. The other half of the year, they're not playing sports. And then fans who watch them, obviously they love the sport. They still come back to it, but there's that gap in between seasons where there's nothing for them to watch, but they still come back to it because they're dedicated to that thing because it's something they enjoy. So just because consider this like the off season of Yu-Gi-Oh. Try exploring some other hobbies. But then, you know, once quarantine eventually does lift and this crisis does finally end, you'll be able to come back to the game and you'll find that it's just the same way you left it. It's still a fun card game that you can have fun with your friends, you can go to locals, you can compete, or if you're a collector, you can continue to support your local game shop and collect cards. So it's just a matter of patience and also exploring other interests. Hey, you can always try to be king of games on Duel Links. What deck did I vote for in the poll? So I actually didn't vote. I want to kind of see where this rides out. I have preferences on the list. Don't get me wrong, I do have an opinion on the poll. But in terms of me actually voting for what deck I want, I'm going to leave that just because I want to see where this goes. Me personally, I don't think any of the archetypes really scream like, oh my god, yes, I want that one. I think most of them are interesting. But the thing is, I'm kind of more curious to see if they choose some of the weaker decks. So like Ice Barriers, I think they were in the lead last time I checked. I'd be actually curious to see if they'd go with the Ice Barrier route, because A, that strategy, no offense to any Ice Barrier players, it kind of sucks. The extra deck is amazing. The main deck kind of sucks. So in order to make this strategy even remotely rogue, they would have to completely overhaul and just throw out more than half of the monsters, bring in some new ones, or they literally throw in so many good generic reprints into the deck that just, it will be that good. So let's say they say, have a common Solemn Strike, have a common Infinite Impermanence, have a common Evenly Matched, have a common Lightning Storm. Kind of like, you know how like some of these structure decks with the reprint, they go really crazy with the reprints. I feel like if they pick a very crappy archetype, either you're going to get some good new monsters, because obviously all these structure decks come with new monsters, but you're going to get some amazing reprints, especially if it's a really, really bad archetype that needs something. It needs a crutch. So I can see that happening if something like Ice Barriers get picked. Tour Guide, I think is better as a theme. I don't see a whole archetype revolving, because they have like the bus thing too. They have like some other monsters related to it, so it's more of a theme more than an archetype in my mindset. But I'd be curious to see how it turns out with Ice Barriers, and then also Gusto would be interesting, or Gusto. I don't know. Choose your pick. That would also be an interesting one. I don't want Trickstar. Like, if it's something that has those cards are available in so many sets at this point, and they've had reprints, I'm like, no, give it to something that actually has not seen play in a long time, or has had literally no reprints. Ice Barriers. Basically anything from Hidden Arsenal. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the poll. The single best product of the Link era. This is a tricky one, because I think the Link era started out really badly. Like in terms of the starter deck, Decode Talker is your best Link monster. It's not saying much. But things gradually got better and better and better. I think Dual Power was when you started to realize, oh, okay, they can actually make some pretty crazy product. And then you get the Gold Sark Tins. The Gold Sark Tins, those set the bar high. Dual Devastator, Gold Sark Tin, like these two things were pretty good. And then you get Dual Overload, which literally brings in so many imports from the OCG and so many wanted and needed cards. It's a toss-up for me. So I think for me personally, in terms of, so I'm going to separate this. In terms of product, I'm going to structure deck and then pack product. I'm going to say it's either between the Gold Sark Tin and Dual Overload. And then in terms of structure deck, I'm going to have to give it to the Salad structure deck. What's my favorite old deck to build? So I'm gonna assume this means like an archetype that has been around for a long time. I could give the cop-out answer and say Blue Eyes because I have built a Blue Eyes deck and not like the top. It's just something casual to play around with. Because, you know, I grew up watching the Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters when I was a kid, so there's the nostalgia there. So probably Blue Eyes, but if I think a little bit more, you know what? Ancient Gears. Ancient Gears. Because I remember one of the first, like, after I branched out, like, started to get back into competitive, I was like, okay, into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! I was like, okay, what are some decks that I like? And then I saw the Ancient Gears structure deck, and I was like, huh, I like this deck. I remember this deck from GX, and like all these memories and nostalgia came back. It's like, let's build Ancient Gears. And I built an Ancient Gear deck. You know, it's literally Chaos Giant Turbo. Punch, 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 da 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 da. Anyway, but yeah, Ancient Gears probably. My favorite game besides Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, so I'm going to take this into a two-part answer in terms of game, as in like any game, football or soccer for you American fans. That's my favorite game, like physical game. But in terms of Glory Glory Man United. Anyway, but in terms of game, as in like another card game or video game or something along those lines. Tricky. When I was younger, not like young, little, but like some years back, so like late teens, and yeah, late teens, I was like, played a lot of Call of Duty, so I was big on COD. I faded out of that. Same with the Minecraft as well. I do play, and I still play Minecraft for fun, so, yeah, maybe probably Minecraft, football. Those would be my answers. I would have to first read through this fanfic from the Discord and see if it meets YouTube standards, and then we'll see. Probably, I don't know. At the rate you guys are come up with stuff on Discord, we'll see. You guys are kind of crazy sometimes, but we'll see. I'll leave it at that. And that is going to do it for this month's Q&A, you guys. If you want a chance for your question to be featured, you can either leave it down below in the comments, or you can always leave it when I post on the community tab asking for questions for next month's Q&A. Remember, the more interesting questions or questions that kind of jump out to me, I'm going to pick them. Or if you're a patron, you guys get your questions automatically answered. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for future content. And remember, Sealed Only is just on the horizon. I'm out of here.